Alright, my next in my series of 380 versus 38 special for pocket guns is going to be the cost of these firearms. And this isn't just the cost of the firearms themselves, but it's going to be the cost of the entire system. What's the cost of the entire system when it comes to getting a small semi-automatic versus a small revolver? I know there's a lot of different ammo out there, and there's a lot of different firearms out there. So I'm going to try to cover that the best that I can. Now I got a couple guns here. The pocket guns I have, when it comes to the firearms themselves, there's no question that the revolver is significantly more expensive because it's a specialty Smith & Wesson that they don't even make anymore. And when they did make it, I think the MSRP on something like this is probably $700 or something like that. But you can't have a Smith & Wesson revolver for about $400 new, something like this. As for something like this LCP, it's half the cost. But you are comparing, in my situation, a Smith & Wesson revolver to a cheap Ruger auto. That's not always going to be the case because they do make some revolvers that are a little bit less expensive. And they make some autos that are a little more expensive. But overall, even with the least expensive of your options out there, generally a revolver is going to cost more money. It really is. It's going to cost more money to get a revolver. Even a lower cost option is going to be a little bit more with a revolver than an auto, especially an auto like this LCP. Now the next thing you got to take into consideration would be the cost of the ammo. Everybody knows that most revolver cartridges cost a little bit more than semi-auto cartridges, but not by much. And there's also a couple different things to take into consideration when you talk about the ammo. Now, this right here is a 380, and the 380 ammo, I think I paid about $14 for 50 of it. 38 special, you're probably looking at $18 for the same option with those same 50 rounds of shooter ammo. So it's going to be more expensive to purchase revolver ammo. But, on the flip side of that, when it comes to defensive ammo, they're pretty close in cost. And not only that, but they say that when you get defensive ammo for a semi-automatic pistol, you need to run 200 rounds of that ammo that you're going to carry through your semi-automatic pistol and make sure that it functions and will function. That is not an issue whatsoever with the revolver. So, cost of ammo, sure, it costs a little bit more to actually shoot the guns. But when you're talking about just getting ammo to carry to know you're reliable, you buy one box for the revolver and you're done. You have to buy probably 10 boxes, 8 to 10 boxes. 8 to 10 boxes for the semi-auto to make sure you're reliable is probably going to cost you $200 around that. So the amount that you paid more for a revolver, if you paid $100, $150, even $200 more for a revolver versus the auto, if you do it right though, and you put that 200 rounds that you're supposed to put through a semi-automatic pistol, make sure it's reliable, which you don't have to do with the revolver, then it's already paid for itself in the extra cost. Now you don't necessarily have to put any rounds to this, and you can buy this real cheap and buy one box of ammo and be done. But the well-known recommended way of doing it is to put 200 rounds through your semi-automatic pistol. And there's one last thing that's not going to really be an issue for most people, but it is if you decide you want to hand load, and that is you want to hand load your auto cartridges, and good luck, you're going to be chasing that brass. And even when you chase it, you're not going to keep all of it. You're going to lose some. 38 special, you always got it if you're going to hand load it. It's easy to collect. So that's one other aspect of it. So that's a couple things to take into consideration. The cost. Sure, the revolver in general is going to be more, and the ammo is going to be more just to shoot around with it, but you don't have to spend as much money with defensive ammo because it doesn't matter what you put in a revolver, it's going to be reliable. As with this semi-auto, you gotta make sure by putting a bunch through it. So really, it is a pretty even trade-off, I would say. If you're going to shoot a ton of ammo and you're going to hand load, yeah, you're better off in the end as getting a revolver, in my opinion. But if that's not an issue, which it isn't for most people, and you just want to shoot shooter ammo through something like this, yeah, this is going to be a little bit less expensive with the 380. But if you get serious into defense, serious into getting defensive ammo, hollow points. You know, it's going to be easier with the revolver. The ammo itself will be cheaper, but you'll pay a little bit more for the gun itself. So that's just to sum it up really quick, and that's my opinion on it. And as always, thanks for watching.